have the right to call witnesses and cross-examine them if you wish. The name of the justice is Mr. Goodwin. That is how you will address him. Any questions?
Everyone seems to have made up their minds about me. Big, bad Barbara.
Oh, don't flatter yourself.
Well, I've got news for you. The staff here aren't so lily-white.
What do you mean?
There's a certain officer who was only too willing to help me get stuff into this place.
Who?
If you don't mind, I think I'll keep it for Mr. Goodwin.
I don't like the look of this.
I think we share the same opinion on the subject of drugs, Mr. Goodwin. Davidson, this is Mr. Goodwin, the visiting justice. You may sit down.
I've been looking at your file here, girlie. I don't like what I see. You've been sentenced here for a filthy crime, and you go on with it in here. I'm wondering whether a little more time in solitary mightn't help you sort yourself out. Well?
I don't know.
What do you have to say for yourself? Well, perhaps we could begin with how you managed to get your wares into the prison. That can't have been easy, even for you.
I had them all along, since I came in.
I didn't come down in the last shower, girlie.
Mr. Goodwin, Davidson told me a completely different story.
Yes?
She said she could implicate a member of staff in this. I assume she meant that someone had turned a blind eye when a parcel arrived.
I never said any such thing.
What? Oh, yes, you did.
Oh, you must have misunderstood me or something. I don't know. Well, I guess I was all mixed up. That solitary really gets to you, and all I meant was I'm terrifically sorry.
Wait outside for a moment, Davidson. What's going on here? I don't think we can just disregard this.
Of course not, but if the girl now denies her story...
She must have a supplier. Could one of the officers or one of the members of the professional staff have been involved?
Oh, I very much doubt it. Well, I have complete confidence in my staff, Mr. Goodwin.
Oh, naturally.
In any case, she seems to me to have got the message. She may as well go back to her cell for the time being. If there's any truth to her story, we're certainly not going to get at it while she's locked away by herself.
She should be watched.
She will be. We'll have her back now, thank you.
All right.
Well, how are you today, Lynn?
I'm all right.
Anything wrong?
No. Nothing important.
Well, I want to run through a few questions with you that I'll be putting at the trial.
Yeah, I'm listening.
You don't seem very interested.
I said I'm listening. Now, you tell me what to say and I'll say it. I'm a good little parrot. Ask anyone.
That isn't quite the idea.
Oh, really? Anyway, with me you should have a pretty good story to tell. Should have them all in tears.
I'm finding this hardened criminal routine rather a bore, Lynn.
Are you? Should talk to my father.
Your father, is he in town?
He finally showed up.
Well, that's good.
Why?
Apart from anything else, he would make a rather good character witness, don't you think?
You'd have to talk about that with him.
Well, you'd only have to speak about your family background, your home.
Well, he's good at that.
Just leave me alone. You've got the wrong idea, that's all.
Oh, no, I didn't. I don't know what you think you gained by making enemies for yourself.
I don't. Look, I won't cause any more trouble. I'll be a good-faced little prisoner from now on in. You don't like me much, do you?
I think you're stupid.
How much money do you think lawyers make?
Ever seen a poor one?
Yeah, they don't have to worry.
It's all the same to them. So, they let you out.
Obviously.
Obviously. Get that? Of course it'd be obviously, with old Davidson for your auntie. See, Wonk? It's not what you know, but who you know in this world.
My aunt had nothing to do with it.
Oh, yeah? Well, other people have tried your racket around here, and the screws came down on them like a ton of bricks.
I can't help that. The VJ let me out. And in any case, Bitch Bennett was playing the show today.
That's because Mrs. Davidson took Lizzie off somewhere.
Oh, you'd know. You'd be right in with the screw, sweet Linny. Butter wouldn't melt in your mouth much.
I see. You call him Wonk here a dog. Well, if anyone's a dog around here, it's you.
You don't scare me.
Oh, well, you're a lot dumber than I thought. You haven't got a friend in this place, dog, except your sweet old auntie.
Give it a break. My aunt put me in solitary, didn't she?
Ah, poor Snookums.
Away from me. Anyway, it won't always be this way.
Oh, yeah? Why not? I won't.
Thank you, Miss Bennett. Do we have anyone else to see?
No, there were only 3.
If I may say, we got through that very efficiently. I don't mean to criticize, of course, but Mrs. Davidson does tend to let them ramble on and on.
Mrs. Davidson believes in a fair go for the girls.
Oh, yes, as I said. No need to coddle the girls, eh?
Certainly not.
Now, take that first girl. What was her name? Davidson. My first impulse was to be a lot harsher with her. I know that type.
I know what you mean, but then I think we acted as Mrs. Davidson would have wanted.
I don't follow.
Well, you tend to go very carefully when you're dealing with the governor's niece.
I see. Do you mean you had special instructions regarding that girl?
Oh, no, don't misunderstand me, Mr. Goodwin. Mrs. Davidson has played it right by the book from the moment her niece was brought in here. Same treatment as any other girl.
They had much contact?
Oh, I don't think so. 1 or 2 interviews, just as you would expect in the circumstances. It must be terribly embarrassing for her.
Yes. It would be.
Another biscuit, Mr. Goodwin?
Well, this is the address the doctor gave me.
Well, you better lock your car up. You never know who's about.
No.
Oh, God. The last time I seen me brother, he had his backside out of his tweeds. Oh, sorry, Mrs. Davidson.
Yes, well, shall we go in? Lizzie?
Oh.
I'm coming. The bell's off. I'll go ting-a-ling-a-ling. Yes?
Good afternoon. I'm Mrs. Davidson, and this is Mrs. Birdsworth.
Yes. All right. Disgusting, isn't it? The whole place is like this. The doctor's here. I'll fetch him.
He always was a bit of a magpie.
This table's genuine Chippendale.
Yeah, that's in Sydney, isn't it?
I think we'd better be careful with that.
It's only old junk, isn't it?
Well, I'm no expert, but I'd say that little piece is worth about $100. It's Limoges china.
Oh, Limoges china. Yeah, it is quite pretty.
Ah, ladies. Sorry to keep you. I'm Dr. Kroll. So good of you, Mrs. Davidson, to open your heart to a dying man's appeal.
Hey, I'm his sister. Let's get on with it. Where is he?
He's asleep. But before you go in, perhaps you can help us. So far, he's flatly refused to go to hospital. But frankly, his condition is such I really must insist. Now, if you could persuade him to accept it without any argument, it would be better for him.
Of course, Doctor. That's the least I can do. Perhaps I could sit beside his bed and hold his dear old hand while he's asleep. We've been apart so long. Every moment's precious.
This way, then.
Oh.
The only way Doctor can get him off is to let him have the brandy.
Really? I'll just park myself here and be as quiet as a mouse.
Very well, Mrs. Birdsworth. Perhaps Sister could make some tea.
If you like.
The last time I seen you, you borrowed 50 quid, you old fox. But I'm not even going to mention that. What's 50 quid?
What's come over her? I mean, let's be frank. She was always pretty wet, but this pathetic imitation of an old lag isn't just irritating, it's so damn stupid.
Can I say something?
Yes, of course.
Well, her father's...
Look, if she goes into court looking the way she is, then she's going to catch whatever they're throwing. I do have other clients, you know, people who are interested in their futures. Anybody can help her cut her own throat.
Her father's been to see her.
Oh,
and
yes,
he
she
feels
mentioned that.
Can I
thought...
finish? It should have been exactly what Lynn needed, but Mr. Warner turned out to be rural virtue personified. The mother's had a breakdown because of Lynn. Farmer Tate was judgmental and backed up every bad feeling Lynn's ever had about herself. He told her that she shamed the family and that she was silly and that she
Yes, well, I can see his point of view.
The mother and father have sat on her all her life. They told her, you go away from here and you'll be sorry. Well, she did, and she is. And she wants to be forgiven.
Miss Vernon, can't we just skip all that? Now, I have to exhibit her in court. Behold, the innocent farm girl led astray by the forces of urban darkness. That is her only hope. And you can make her into an autonomous human being next week.
Well, you're so smart. You talk to the father then.
All right, I will. It'll have to be later today, though.
Well, how about 4?
All right, that sounds okay.
Mr. Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
A pleasant afternoon's work.
Thank you. Now, I really must be getting back to my duties.
I won't be keeping you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Oh, on your way, Mr. Goodwin?
Yes, we got through things at a fair clip today.
Yes.
Mrs. Jackson, this business about Mrs. Davidson's niece, dodgy, hmm?
Did Miss Bennet...
She happened to mention it, yes, yeah, just in passing. I wondered if you'd, noticed anything.
Noticed?
I don't quite know how to put this without sounding like one of the boys in blue. Far be it from me to question Mrs. Davidson's probity, so to speak. We all know what a personal involvement... Well, there are a few worrying elements here.
I don't think so. The second this business came to light, Mrs. Davidson punished her niece without hesitation, as she would any other prisoner.
Yes, she'd have to do that, wouldn't she?
I'm sorry, Mr. Goodwin, but I don't see what else could have been done.
No, of course. But then the girl herself makes this accusation about a member of staff.
Which she then withdrew.
Yes. Yes. Well, just a lot of fuss about nothing, huh? Not to worry?
No.
Rightio then. See you next time.
Yes. Goodbye, Mr. Goodwin.
Not now, sir.
Hello, Gus, me old love.
So they let you out to come and see me?
No trouble. You see her? She's the boss of the prison, Mrs. Davidson.
Mr. Cameron?
So you're the boss of the pokey. Not a bad looker for a cop. Shh. Don't shush me. I can say what I like. I never done no crimes like some.
None that you were caught for. But let's talk of happier times.
When were they? Nice of you, real nice to have brung the old Liz over. I've been lying here thinking of her and what I had to say.
Well, now that we've found each other, there's no need to say nothing.
Oh, but I wonder. The quack here reckons I've had the ratchet. You think otherwise I would have wanted to see your ugly old dial again?
Tone it down.
Suppose you come here expecting arts and flowers.
I thought we'd make our peace before you face your maker.
Ah, don't give me that tripe.
Where's your family feeling?
You had any. You would never have married that birdwood mongrel. Oh, blimey. 2-pot screamer. Should have got round in a dress.
No, he could have done you any day.
I wish he'd tried. And where is he now? in the nick, same as you, I reckon. Only for Ponson, useless bludger.
He never stooped as low as you.
Please, Mr. Cameron.
Take a seat, lady. I've been wanting to say this for some time. Us Camerons were a proud line till you disgraced it. There was never a Cameron in the nick afore you.
I was driven to it. And where were you with your helping hand?
Nowhere near you, that's for sure.
Not until you wanted a quid.
Ah, you was dumb enough to be handed around. And you was usually half full anyhow. Showing your knickers to all them blokes. Stealing!
Stealing? What about them army trucks in 1944?
I didn't say nothing then. I'm not saying anything now.
I was amusing the sergeant while you drove up. Now, where's my share?
You got your share from the sergeant.
You shut your dirty trap!
Mr. Cameron, I warn you.
Take your hands off me, you bloodsucker.
I didn't bring you here.
I hope you rot in hell, you old fart!
I'll see you there. You old wit, you done me.
I bloody well hope so!
The adrenaline.
Oh. Do you think he's snuffed it, Mrs. Davids?
I don't know.
Oh, I nearly took a turn in there myself. As God is me witness, I didn't think it'd turn out like this.
Neither did I.
Poor old bugger. I'm glad we got here in time. Did he have anything to say before he passed away?
He did manage to say a few words, yes.
Well?
Well, as I recall, Mrs. Birdsworth, his exact words were, "Tell her she doesn't get a cracker. I got no sister."
The old bastard. He can rot. I might have known it. Tight as a fish's bum to the grave. And he got the last word again.
Do you care for a cup of tea?
Oh, no, thanks. What did you say your husband was?
Oh, he's at the office. They're rather busy at present.
I trust we're going to see him in court tomorrow.
Of course.
You see, there is something that I wanted to discuss with you both.
Yes.
Well, since you've instructed me that you won't enter a plea of temporary insanity,
Oh, not that again, Mr. Wilson, really. I've already told you that that would be a lie and a weakness.
Mrs. Roberts, speaking frankly, and as your lawyer, now, who cares? We're talking about the possibility of your having to spend a number of years in a rather unpleasant jail.
And that's why we have you, Mr. Wilson, isn't it? Now, what did you wish to discuss?
Is your daughter at home?
Sarah, I told you to stay in your room.
I'm in this too, Mom.
I really think that Sarah should stay and listen to this. I'd like to put her on the witness stand.
Oh, no. Certainly not.
But, Mom...
No.
Please, may I explain? Now, the dead man Warren is not on trial for rape. Therefore, we've got to establish to the jury that you were acting in defense of your daughter, believing that this man was waiting for her with the thoughts of attacking her again.
But that's the truth. Don't make it sound like some cheap lawyer's trick.
We know it's the truth, Mrs. Roberts, but the jury don't.
And all that can be established without Sarah.
But the effect on the jury of a child in a school uniform.
You're a cynic, Mr. Wilson.
Yes, probably.
It is an open court.
I don't care, Mum. Not anymore if it'll help you. He's our lawyer.
I've already said no. She doesn't realize what they could do to her.
I wonder who is gonna get all that.
If I were you, I'd forget all that.
Well, I'm not you. I'm a long way from you. I suppose we've got to go back in the nick now, Mrs. Davidson.
Oh, there's no rush. Perhaps we could go for a drive somewhere.
Oh, I'd like that.
Is there anywhere you particularly like to go?
Christmas. Do you know a river? I love a river.
I think so.
Yes, Superintendent. They've had it soft for too long. Oh, Mrs. Davidson. Oh, she's taken the day off. I'm in charge at present. Yes, well, thank you. Yes, her feet do seem about a foot off the ground sometimes. No, it's no experience. Oh, look, something's just come up. I'll have to go. Goodbye. What happened to knocking?
Oh, it's only you in here, Vera.
I'll have you know that while I occupy this office, I expect the same respect you'd give Mrs. Davidson. Well, what's your problem?
What did you tell Goodwin about Barbara Davidson?
Oh, that.
He's put 2 and 2 together and made 5, but I guess that was your intention. You'd love to discredit Mrs. Davidson, wouldn't you?
I don't like your tone,
Oh,
Meg.
don't get carried away, Vera. You're only in this office for one afternoon.
I don't understand you. You're a prison officer like me. What do you see in her?
She's in charge here.
That could change.
I know that's your idea.
I've never made any secret of it. And I've told her, right to her superior face, her and her la-di-da ways, her education, and her famous judge father. She makes me sick.
So I see.
Oh, I suppose I'll miss him. Like toothache.
It all sounds very colourful. What a life you must have had.
You might say. But that Gus was a terrible liar. Always trying to be hurtful. Like bringing up my husband, Birdsworth. Oh, I know he was a no-hoper and no mistake. But he was that pretty. Dimples, skin like a peach, and a touch like an angel. We lived in this tent by a creek. He knocked 5 kids out of me. 2 of them died. Then he shot through on me with his barmaid. Blossom Birdsworth, they called him, the dirty little dingo. I still had to work. He never did. Hard times. The depression. Then they took the kids away from me. Unfit, they said. After that, I started to slide, I admit that. Huh. I thought I was lucky to get that job with the shearers. Look at me now, doing all the talking and feeling sorry for myself. I bet you got a lot of yarns up your sleeve, Mrs. Davidson.
All rather tame, I'm afraid, Lizzie.
Oh, go on. They say you belong to the cream of society. They say your father was a judge. That's what B. Smith says.
That's true.
Oh, well, you don't give much away, do you?
I'm sorry, Lizzie. Yes, my father was Chief Justice Mahon, and my brother was a Member of Parliament.
God, what's a fine lady like you nursemaiding us galahs?
The way I was brought up, I suppose. Our family has a long line of do-gooders.
I suppose Mr. Davidson was the same, eh?
Not exactly.
Did he run out on you?
Yes, we came to the parting of the ways. The Davidson family and I don't see much of each other anymore.
Except that bitch Barbara. Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Davidson.
Yes.
You could do without her, I'll bet.
I could do without all of them.
It's extremely fortunate that you've turned up, Mr. Warner, if I may say so.
It's a damn rotten reason I've got for being here.
Yes, of course. However, you are in a position to help.
Now, before we go into that, son, I have to say, there's no way I can pay the kind of dough a bloke like you's going to ask.
Oh, Miss Vernon's department is covering my fee.
Oh, I see. Well, let's get on with it.
Well, it would certainly help Lynn's case considerably if you were to appear in court and speak on her behalf.
I say she's been a good girl up to now, all that kind of palaver, eh?
Yes, so you'll appreciate, of course, that there's no chance of her acquittal, but if we could lighten the sentence, I'm sure you'd want that.
I don't know. Perhaps some time in a place like this might straighten Lynn out.
Well, I doubt that, Mr. Warner.
I don't know.
We have now what we call a work release program, in which Lynn could leave the prison during the day and work at some ordinary job. And now, I'm not going to be able to swing that if they throw the book at her.
Oh, yeah. Do some real work for a change, eh? get her hands dirty and earn some honest dollars. Yeah. I think that's the best bloody thing you've said up to now. I'll go along with that. After all, she's still mine. Not much of a garden after what you've been used to, eh?
No.
Hey, that lawyer they got you, he's a bit of a lounge lizard. Cluey, though. Got a lot of hide.
Talks a lot.
Oh, I rang the hospital back home earlier. They say your mum's on the mend.
That's good.
Oh, come on. Give us a smile, love. Oh. Wilson reckons I ought to turn up in court.
Well?
Yeah, well, I thought I would. There's no good dwelling on the past. You got to look ahead.
To what?
The future.
Yeah, well, you've been carrying on. I didn't think I had one.
Well, that's the kind of talking that'll get you nowhere. You got a lawyer, it's costing the state a bloody fortune. And you got this Vernon woman doing a bit. Wake up to yourself, Lynn.
Got a visitor, Wonk.
Doreen, Carol, Ellie. This is my dad.
How do you do?
I'm all right. How's yourself? Cigarette? Oh, he's not all that polite, girls. What about you, Wonk?
Thanks, Ring.
Since when are you smoking?
Oh, don't make a song and dance about it, Dad. You learn all kinds of things in here.
Yeah. You want to relax, Dad? She's a big girl now.
You mind your own business.
You scared him away, Dad.
I was talking to my daughter.
And who's stopping you? You don't mind, do you, Wonk?
No, I don't care. Oh.
Now, you don't fool me, Lynn. You trying to act like this one?
She doesn't have to act. She's part of the gang here.
Now, you listen to me. I came here because I thought we could get back in step. Wilson and the Vernon woman said you needed me. You need someone. You're behaving like a milk bar slut. But I'm not going to get down on my hands and knees to you.
Look, if you want to be in court, okay. But if you aren't, I'll live.
All right. If that's the way you want it.
Ah, don't go crawling to him. What's he ever done for you?
It's my father.
So what?
Maybe she's past helping, Miss Vernon.
A Happy Day by B. Smith. The handsome stranger flashes, a smile, showing all his... Oh, geez, I can't even read my own writing. Oh, pearly teeth. He pulls a Colt 45 from his pocket. Use this, he says. You'll like it. She runs her fingers down the smooth, cool barrel.
Gotta be hot, sir.
Quiet. She feels the weight of the deadly weapon.
Oh.
This is my ticket to freedom, she says. The evil screw cringes near the wall, shaking
how pathetic.
with... Oh, I got a critic amongst us.
Shut up, Wonk. Going beard's getting real interesting.
Childish.
Oh, why don't you go and have a weep, Warner? That is what you do best.
I can sit here.
Oh, want your buddy slapped? What's the matter? Didn't your daddy come to see you today? Maybe I could do it for you.
Hey, I'm back.
What happened? Where are our prezzies?
Oh, fair go. I was with the governor, you know.
Oh, good. If you can't get round her, who are you?
Let's be fair. Mrs. Davidson and me got on real well together today. She's not bad, the old gov.
She's your best mate now, is she?
Well, we got on all right. She's a lady.
Oh.
What about your brother?
Him, gone to glory. Dead as a mackerel.
Oh.
Mrs. Davidson and me were right there when he went.
Oh, I suppose he left you the estate, Lizzie.
All tied up with his solicitor. You know, these things take time, but he did give me a little something, a little keepsake.
Oh.
Mrs. Davidson reckons it's worth a fortune.
Yeah.
Lemonade china, you know.
Give us a look, Beth.
Gee, it's pretty, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Miss Bennett's first words to me just now were, birds worth steal anything on a little outing?
Vera always expects the worst.
It constantly disappoints me how often she's right.
Yes.
I see my niece is out of solitary. How was it, Meg? Were you here?
Oh, yes. It was nothing special. Goodwin ticked her off. Oh, he's still on the job, by the way. Mr. Bell's on leave. Vera advised that she go back to her cell.
Vera did?
I was surprised, too. This hasn't been very pleasant for you, has it?
No. Oh, the little brat. I could throttle her. Meg, she's had the best of everything in material terms. Everything anyone could want.
You think she's had it too easy?
In a way. Except it's no more than I had. If I wanted to sound very pompous, I'd say it's the difference between being aware of privilege and taking it for granted, if you know what I mean.
Yes, sure.
She's a Davidson. I mean from my husband's side of the family.
Oh, yes.
When she was smaller, 9 or 10, she used to stay with us. Mike and I had a beach house, Bowen Heads, and we used to... Oh, well, never mind. I'm sure you'd like to go home rather than sit here listening to me reminiscing. It's been a very long day.
Will you please listen? It's your only chance.
No.
But Wilson made it perfectly clear.
Oh, Wilson may have talked you into it, but he's certainly not talked me into it. I will not have her on the witness stand.
All right. Now, we all got to keep calm. Taxi's going to be here. We're going to court. We're all going to stay calm.
Why are we going in a taxi?
Because I am not driving through peak hour this morning of all mornings.
Oh, you look tired, Ken.
I'm all right.
Oh, it's been awful for you lately. I'm sorry.
You've got nothing to be sorry for. But if you would only listen to reason.
Oh, everything's going to be fine. I have every faith in Mr. Wilson.
All right, let's go.
Have you got a clean handkerchief?
Please go on, Mr. Pryor. I am listening.
I call Mrs. Valda Warren, the wife of the deceased.
Objection. I fail to see what bearing this woman's testimony might have on the case, Your Honor.
Mr. Pryor?
My learned colleague, Your Honor, has been valiantly attempting all morning to put the dead man, Mr. Warren, on trial for rape. Since he insists on this, I think in all fairness, we should hear from the woman who lived with this fiend for 15 years.
Your Honor, the woman will simply deny that her husband could have committed any crime whatsoever.
You will have the opportunity to cross-examine, Mr. Wilson. Objection overruled. Call Mrs. Warren.
Mrs. Warren, Mrs. Valda Warren. 8 years is long enough for your daughter to have seen Mr. Warren, don't you think?
Theoretically, but she didn't. I'm sure she didn't.
Mr. Wilson, we are to hear the testimony of Sarah Roberts.
On instructions from my client, Your Honor, no, we're not.
Very well. Your witness, I think.
I've got a car over there.
Is the girl going on the stand tomorrow?
Nope.
Why not?
No comment.
Off the record, Steve. Since when are you taking on lame ducks?
What the hell do you mean by that?
What?
Reporter.
Oh, nothing.
Mrs. Catherine Roberts, the jury has found you guilty of the death of Albert Warren, but finds itself convinced, as am I, up to a point, by your counsel's defense of mitigating circumstances. Whether this man raped your daughter or not does not alter the fact that you took the law into your own hands. The vigilante spirit is a dangerous one, Mrs. Roberts. The apparatus of the law and the police force exists for our protection. And your own powerful and understandable sense of right and wrong does not excuse your action. I sentence you to 3 years in the Wentworth Detention Center. For all to be discussed.
All right. This court now stands adjourned.
What about appealing? Surely there'd be some chance. We've absolutely no doubts.
Mom! Let me look at you both. Mom, I'm sorry. Sorry.
We're both sorry. Now, darling, I want you to take care of your father. You two are going to need each other now. Oh, let me think. All the ironing's done. There's plenty of food in the fridge and...
Kate, stop it.
3 years isn't forever.
I'll drive you home.
Catherine Angela Roberts, you were found guilty of manslaughter and sentenced to 3 years imprisonment, correct? Correct.
Yes.
You will be examined by the sister. You will then meet the reception committee who will explain to you the options open to you within the prison. You are permitted 1 phone call. You may also see the governor if necessary regarding any appeal you may wish to make. I'd keep an eye on this stuff, Roberts. Things do tend to disappear. Right. The officer will now take you to the showers.
How long have I got to pay, Mr. Wilson? Whenever you're ready. There's no real rush. Soon as I can. Yes, well, I'll be on my way then, Mr. Roberts.
I'll get it.
Sarah.
Oh, Mr. Sutton.
Ah, bye, Sarah.
That's your lawyer?
Yeah.
Well, how'd you get on?
She got 3 years. Yeah. Oh, Sarah, hop out for a bit, will you? Frank and I have got a couple of things to talk about.
But, Dad...
Sarah.
Things tough, old mate?
Yeah. Well?
Didn't even think you'd be here. I saw you
What's
car
the
out.
word, Frank?
Well, I've been into the whole thing. As you know, we've got no cash in hand. We're going to lose on this Iran schmozzle.
Yeah, well, we'll have to sell off one of the properties.
Now, half a minute.
Look, I need the money.
For personal purposes.
Yeah, so?
You know the terms of our partnership, mate, is just not on.
This is different, surely.
I appreciate your position, but that's the way it is. Read the contract if you like. But there is another option, as I see it, to sell your share.
Oh, yeah, where does that leave me?
Do you need the money or don't you? Now, I've got a bloke who'd be interested if you are.
I see. Some mate you turned out to be.
None of this is doing the business much good.
I suppose not.
Be fair, Ken. Not my fault if your wife threw a screw loose.
What?
I mean, fancy thinking poor old Bert Warren could duff a flea, let alone rape someone.
That's enough. Get out of here.
You want to come down off that high horse? This family always was a bit too good to be true.
I said get out! God above, help me.
Catherine Roberts?
Yes. Roberts, this is Jean Vernon, the Regional Services Officer.
Oh, yes?
Mind if I sit down?
Well, I'm sure you have that right.
They tell me that you have a husband and daughter outside. I expect they must be feeling pretty low.
Yes.
I was wondering if you'd like me to go and see them.
You're some sort of social worker, Miss,
Vernon, more or less.
They shall survive, I think. I'm sure there must be other, far more deserving cases.
Well, that's not the point. The point
The
is...
state has put me in here for defending my daughter, and now some state charity worker wants to stick her nose into our affairs. I think you people have done enough.
Dad? Can I get you something to eat?
Oh, thanks, love.
Dad, are we in trouble? Mr. Sutton's got a kind of loud voice.
Yeah. My mate Frank Sutton.
Oh, you don't need him, Dad. I heard you tell Mum once. Frank's got the gift of the gab, but I've got the know-how.
You hear a lot. I think you'll have to go back to your Auntie Viv in the morning.
I want to stay with you.
Things are going to get pretty hectic around here, Sarah.
You want to get rid of me.
It's only for your own good.
You think it's my fault.
For God's sake, Sarah! Not now.
Have you anything to say, Roberts?
You must understand what I did, Mrs. Davidson.
I think so, but that doesn't mean I approve. However, you're going to be with us for some time. It's not going to be easy for someone such as yourself.
You can at least understand that.
Are you frightened, Roberts?
I don't know if I can cope with being
I'm
with...
sorry, but there's nothing I can do. Now, if you would wait outside, please, Roberts.
Poor thing. She's scared stiff.
Yes. In any case, there's something else I wanted to ask you. Just what happened here the other day when the VJ was here?
I told you.
Oh, for heaven's sake, Meg, don't hide things from me. I am up to this job.
Oh, I thought it was all finished.
Well, it isn't. I've had this letter from the department. They want to know whether or not I've been granting special privileges for my niece. Now, obviously, someone has put in a report or something. Well?
Well, on the way here to see the VJ, she said she could implicate an officer in a drug business.
Did she? How interesting.
But then she denied it. Then it came out she was your niece.
No need to ask how that came out. So certain inferences were drawn.
Well, what does the department want?
A satisfactory account of these matters, etc., etc., or forced to appoint an outside investigation. I want to see my niece.
Yes, all right.
Mrs. Jackson?
What?
Do you know if Miss Vernon's heard from my father yet?
Well, why don't you ask yourself?
Well, how's she? I haven't heard anything for 2 days.
Well, what did you say to him the last time he was here?
Nothing.
Really? I think you'd better decide what you want, Lynn.
Yeah, well, so should he.
No, 3 years isn't so bad.
I wouldn't know, but it seems a long time.
It'll be gone in a flash, Kate. Oh, I hope you don't mind me calling you Kate.
Is it really true that bloke raped your little one? Well, she said so.
Yeah, and they put you in there. It's a bloody scandal. You know, the law's set up all wrong. And you wouldn't want to hold your breath waiting for the cops to pick up the one they ought to, either. I don't know. Everyone here's been done one way or another. Hey, Lizzie?
We've all been screwed.
Some lawyers get the idea that a retrial is a criticism of their methods, so just be prepared for an air of heavy skepticism.
What happened to Catherine Roberts?
She got 3 years. She should be here now.
What went wrong?
I don't perform miracles. She ignored my advice, had a very thin defense.
win some, lose some.
If you like.
Maybe you're not as great as you cracked up to be.
I don't really think this is a very good time for us to argue, Mrs. Travers. I know it's difficult for you.
It's just taking so long, that's all.
I'm sorry.
What?
It's the day after tomorrow. All right. Thank you. I'm through in here.